Man, some people in this world, they have a different texture. They have a completely different mindset. When they look out their window, they see a completely different world. They see a different color. They see a different energy. They see a different passion. They see different opportunities. They're called visionaries. Major recording artist KXNGKO, representing Boston every day, all day. He's a natural born visionary. Everything about him, from the tattoos to the way he wears his hair, to his clothing, to the way he speaks, he has such a controlled genius about him. Everything's about moderation. Everything's about balance. Everything's about optimization as well. He measures twice. He cunts once. You can't never get him off his game. His music, his clothing line, his vision is larger than life. He is truly a pioneer. He's the guy that will take the most risks and never ever look over his shoulder. KXNGKO, House of His Studios, Dorian, Vinny, Radio Pushers. This epic story will make you understand why you either gonna embrace it or leave it alone when it comes to the pursuit of greatness. KXNGKO, let's get it.
People, we are live right now inside the House of His Studios. Let me just say, there are places that motivate you. There are things that drive you. There are things that make you want to say, I want to do better. I got to be better. You see a person driving a nice car, you look to your left, you're like, man, I need to be in that whip. You go drive through a nice neighborhood, wherever you live, you might say, I want to live there. You do music, you create. That's KXNGKO. You're in the House of Hits. When you walk through these doors, you can't help but feel like, I want to do something greater than great. I want to do something that's iconic. It's almost like Kendrick walking into the studio the first time with Dr. Dre, and he put them headphones on. From that moment until now, you could just, that moment, you know what I'm saying? That moment when Dre was like, put them headphones on, let's get what you got. You know, I was listening to the Hall of Fame speech for Eminem. Dre was just saying the first time the M came in the studio, it was like they vibe for the beat when he put on, hi, my name is, and he just started going with it. That's what this environment is like. House of Hits, what Vinny DeLeon and his brother Serge have put together. It's magnificent. From the aesthetics to the fish tank to everything else. Mary J. Blige, Busta Rhymes, Jack Harlow, Migos, DJ Khaled, The Game, Kanye West, lean over right here. Now we got KXNGKO, major recording artist, entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur, but most importantly, one of the most the most innovative people I've seen in a while in indie, because with him, everything is psychological. So I'm honored, super honored to have KXNGKO inside the House of Hits, Hype Fresh Magazine. We in the building. Welcome to the House of Hits, my brother.
Appreciate y'all for having me. We in here with RADIOPUSHERS, JP, yeah. It's the family. Let's do it.
Well, you know how to give that Diddy intro, right?
Yeah. Let's go.
No doubt about it.
Bad boy for life.
I want to tap in this way. I say that you're psychological because I know from speaking to you, you are slow about speaking, swift about hearing. That's a biblical scripture, actually. So when I speak to you, you always do that. You never rush anything. I want you to talk about, as a child, the parental guidance you had, whether you had it or you didn't, whoever gave it to you. Where did all that come from? Give it to me in a synopsis. Give it to me, because you have something that it has to be breeded. You can't just put it in the microwave.
You know, I grew up in a unique situation. If we're talking about family,
speak up a little bit.
Yeah, I grew up in a unique situation. If we're talking about family, my mom's was 17 when she got pregnant with me, 18 when she had me. My pops was 19, 20. You know, they were, coming from the lower income neighborhoods, kind of trying to figure out their life. And they wasn't always together, but I always had a good relationship with my dad. And so it's both of them that have an influence on me. My father was the militant side. That's my strength. That's the warrior in me. And then on the other side, you got my mom's, who's more of a teacher. So that's the patience. You really see more of my mother when interacting with people socially. You know what I'm saying? You see more of my pops when I got to defend somebody or myself. So You know, two very different people that came together to create me. So that's what makes me a complex person, because they're not really alike. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, like growing up.
Yeah, 50% of your mom, 50% of your pops.
Pretty much.
As a kid, how did the world look to you? What do you remember as a kid? Like before high school, like what do you remember as a kid? You know, like you're young, you run around, you have no job. Like what was the world like for you? Like what did you see in the world?
Man, the world was like kind of like a scary place, man. I felt like
for you.
Yeah.
Okay, talk
about it. I felt like I had to be, you know, vicious in a way to survive. You know what I'm saying? So that's why there's a part of that there, but I don't like to lead with that. And I like to believe in the good in people as well. So how'd I see the world when I was younger? You know, it was complex, but at a young age I knew, you know something? That's a good thing that you bring this up. At a young age I knew that we was poor though, and that bothered me.
Yeah.
It used to eat me up inside.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I grew up in a house full of love, and I'll never trade my family for anything. If I had to do it again, I would pick the same people.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? But I knew that we was poor, and I felt like it was on me to do something about that.
The reason why I asked that question because like we grew up on WIC food stamps. My mom didn't work till like 87, so my dad was on working. But we didn't know what poor was because we always had what we need: lights, food, shelter. 8 pizza every Friday. Right. You know what I'm saying? My mom would go out. We even went to Pizza Hut every now and then. But we didn't understand WIC, food stamp, whatever. But the love, like you said, was there. I wouldn't trade anything. Right. Because that's the job of a parent.
Exactly.
Protect, insulate you from, because it doesn't even matter if you do know you're poor, you're not poor. Because poor is not having nothing. You know, when you have something, I always say you're not poor. I want to go into this. As you were being raised and you were feeling everything you felt, when did you feel the leadership in you growing as a man? Like, when did you start seeing the world move a little bit different in your mind to say, formulating into, I want to go down this path of artistry?
Man, I started off drawing pictures and then writing poetry and just seeing how people were responding to my poetry, and I realized that it was all in a metronome. It was basically verses in an a cappella. I naturally were writing verses, so I just moved into that. Watching how people reacted to the music, that's, you know, when I felt empowered, because being a young person coming from whatever bracket, whatever you want to call it, sometimes you feel like you have no power, so people will latch on to anything that makes them feel powerful. So it was music that made me feel powerful, and I was always really good at math. And I started to realize in my mind it was so simple. Like, hey, I could buy these CDs for this price and sell them for that. And it was just, for me, it was so simple. I didn't realize everything else that had to go in between that to make that happen. But the business model, the actual numbers were just so simple. I'm like, why wouldn't I just take this route?
The bag you have on.
Yeah.
I want to close out with that. Explain that to the audience.
All right, so these are the King KO one straps. Me and a couple of my business partners create our own merch. And one of these things that we're doing right here, we're selling this right off the website with our logo. As you can see, you can put anything that you want in here. It's up to your discretion. It's just a great bag to have, you know, so that you don't have to carry around a big bag and you don't have to have things all in your pockets. With these new clothes, pockets is kind of small, man, so I keep everything I need inside my bag. Whether that's my materials that I need for the day, for the week, whatever I need, I keep it in my bag.
No doubt. Last thing, my dad was stationed in Okinawa, Japan.
Okay.
You got that hoodie on. I know I studied Japanese culture for a long time. My dad was stationed up, so I respect that you have an affinity for that.
Yes, sir.
It means a lot. I want to say this. You are a very introspective person. I enjoy talking with you on the phone. You know that. Every conversation we had has always been elevated. That's not normal for an independent artist running his own label. You know, you have a mental telepathy that's super high. And you have a high IQ for life. I respect that about you. Thank you for being a part of the process. Thank you for trusting the process, Radio Pushers, because, you know, you have been consistent since day one. And I thank you for holding us accountable, because I always hold you accountable. And I thank you for wanting to evolve. I want you and your gift to walk into that booth and do what you do, man. Thank you. King KO, House of Hits, High Fresh Magazine, 99.7 The Heat. Let's get it.
Let's go. King KO. Radio Pushers, man.
How was that?